With real-world Le Mans going on in the background, it's only fitting we hop in our time machine and revisit the days of multi-class racing with big turbos, giant aerodynamics, and drivers that flirted with the limit of fate. That's right, folks, we've got a brand new season of the IMSA Vintage series, and you're going to see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joey Atterbury, and with me in the booth today is Ozzy Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sebring is one of the most well-known endurance circuits in the world. Let's find out why drivers must respect the bumps with our track guide.
Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course.
A fan and driver favorite, and Ozzy, I believe it's also a favorite of yours because you are a previous winner here.
Absolutely. That was a long time ago, but I have won a Nissan broadcast race here. And Sebring, it's one of my favorite circuits, Joey. I think it's a love-hate relationship with this track for many people, and for me it's a love relationship. You got those fast corners, but then you also got some more technical stuff, and I absolutely adore the flow, especially with the Nissan, but I think it works well for the Audis too. You got a great flow, especially that section coming up from the hairpin. You got those fast sweepers flat out to Fangio, then you come through Cunningham, go down the gears, press the throttle, squeeze it into the Collier corner, especially with the Nissan. You have to squeeze in the throttle with worn tires, then you come through Tower, avoid the inside curb, and you come in through Bishop, and just chain de bien, you know, the SS into Le Mans. Those SS alone, you can shave off 1.5, 2/10 if you know where to cut, if you know your line just right. So there is plenty of opportunities for here to gain time, but also to lose. It's easy to make a mistake here, easy to spin, easy to end your race far too early, or go for an overly ambitious overtake. So it's a great track for multi-class racing, it's a great track for these cars, and I, for one, am looking forward to a great race.
It always produces some of the best racing, and you're right, when you put multi-class on here, it is just awesome to watch. But today, it is round number 1. The opening race of 12. 40 minutes is what both of the classes are going to have to do. An open setup as always, so if you feel like the car is a little bit too loose or a little bit too tight, well, you can go and tweak and tune on that setup. Make sure it's turning just how you want it out there. No spare car, so if you pick up any damage, you're going to have to live with it or come down pit lane and have your pit crew hop over the wall and get that fixed up. Drive-through penalty at 17x and a disqualification at 25 incident points. Nothing out of the ordinary there, especially for the IMSA Vintage series. That's our pretty standard race rundown. We actually have qualifying taking place on the racetrack right now. Our GTP provisional pole sitter Aitor Sintez Galindo with a 142.78, but I am extremely impressed with how close the top 3 times are here, Ozzy. We got Aitor at a 42.7, Aaron Humphrey at a 42.8, and then Farron Grau also at a 42.8. So 3 drivers less than a tenth of a second apart.
Absolutely, that's nothing here at Sebring. That's like an incredibly tight field. Let's see what Lance Simon can do. Lance Simon still in 12th position, actually getting up to the top 10 here in the GDP. And let's look at the GDOs. Stephen Dysek going over the line in 16th place, but we got Friesen, Kundelis, and Schuster in the top 3, and we actually have a reasonably tight field in the Audis as well. So GDOs, you're looking at them, I mean, Friesen half a second ahead, but then you got 5-6 cars, you got 5 cars within 0.4 of a second, 4 cars within 0.2. So it's gonna be a good race.
And just like that, qualifying has wrapped up on the racetrack, and we have your official starting grid. I'll cover these GTP cars here, and your pole sitter is Aitor Sintez Galindo in that number 6. Aaron Humphrey is going to be lined up in 2nd place with Farron Grau in 3rd. Brendan Lim lined up in 4th place with Javier Del Olmo starting on row number 3 and 5th. Dylan Freckleton next to him in 6th. Alexis Tapia Vico is in 7th. AJ Roper in 8th. Kevin Parrish in 9th with Lance Simon here in 10th. And then across the page is Sam Dillingham in 11th. Juan Jose Suarez in 12th, Brian Simpson starting 13th, JP Ramos in 14th, Keenan LaPerriere in 15th in the GTPs, and then some that didn't put in a qualifying time. That includes Nathaniel Croker, Byron Long, Mateo Johnson, Marcelo Marquez, and Kyle Maletsky rounding out the 20 GTP cars, Ozzy.
Yes, and then we have the GDOs. Mickey Friesen starting in pole position alongside Arturas Kundelis. Then it's Andreas Schuster in 3rd place and Ian Haycox in 4th, ahead of Josh Brain and Romain Bello. You got Doug Cloud in 7th place, familiar name there. So is Timothy Reed in 8th. Cam Porter starting 9th, and Sam Skovgaard rounding out the top 10 in 11th place. We got Nick Schlesinger, as I put my teeth in there, Torben Paulik in 12th, Cody Meadows in 13th, Michael Haynes in 14th, you got Timothy Porter in 15th, Stephen Dysek in 16th, Mika Tuupola in 17th, Logan Warfield 18th, and Taylor Burris rounding out the 19-car GDO field. So we got 2 classes pretty much evenly matched, 39 cars in total. Who's gonna win?
Who's going to win? I think the car that crosses the line first is going to win, Ozzy.
No. This is groundbreaking information on race cars, everybody. We're on the frontier.
But look at this. This is beautiful. You're right. 39 cars, 20 of the GTP prototypes, and then 19 of those GTO Audis. And we've got a full pace lap here at Sebring International Raceway. So the drivers actually have another couple minutes before they really have to tighten things down and get ready for that green flag. I want to ask you, as we're looking at the temperature, it's actually very, very pleasant. 80 degrees at Sebring with just a nice 5-mile-an-hour wind, low on the humidity. Very un-Florida-like, by the way, Ozzy. It's usually much more humid over there. But I was going to ask you, with a full pace lap, you previously winning here, does that throw off kind of your strategy of just wanting to go out there and get it? Or does this play into the driver that you are that's a little bit more calm and collected, and you kind of get to roll up to the green flag at your own pace?
If you're calling me calm and collected as a driver, I don't think you've ever seen me drive, but there is there are stereotypes about Finns, and I don't match any of those. I have to be honest with you, but I mean, you're going through the motions here, really. You're trying to think about the last couple of things. If you have to make adjustments here, you're pretty much screwed, because usually those adjustments have been made on Thursday, on Friday at the latest. You may have run another race, you know what's going to happen in the next 40 minutes. Here you're just collecting yourself, trying to follow through, trying to communicate. In case you're the Audi leader, for example, what you're doing there, they're leaving a gap, they're communicating with the Nissans, asking how much of a gap do you want, so that they don't start all bunched up. But what you think here you're focused solely on the first couple of corners. You want to make sure that you know whether you're going to start early or you're going to start late. Usually starting early is the best strategy. So you want to leave a bit of a gap to the pace car. Then when the green flies, you can leave as early as possible and get that jump. And in here, it's a very interesting situation because the start, it's a rolling start here for all the new viewers. That means that they're starting behind the pace car. They're not stopping to the starting grid. They're doing a flying start, so to speak. And they're starting in the last corner, which is the sunset bend. So you have to put the power down on cold tires, meaning you don't have any grip, the car is feeling a little bit wobbly underneath you, you got a heavy car, you got a very awkward feeling car, and then you have to put the power down on sunset bend, which is the most difficult corner in this hemisphere to navigate, in my opinion. Of course, I mean, I'm the expert here, so my opinion is correct, but in my opinion, it is the most difficult corner in this hemisphere to navigate. So it's gonna be difficult. At the same time, we got lots of great drivers that I'm sure are up to the challenge and can take it to the main straight and turn number 1 without any major incidents.
Sunset Bend, for all of you watching and listening, is the final turn here at Sebring. And if you've ever seen any pictures of whatever race car or street car kind of up on 3 wheels or even 2 wheels or sometimes even no wheels going up over those bumps, it is oftentimes around turn 17, more well known as Sunset Bend. But here we are down the back straightaway, the Ullman Straight. You see the lights are off on that pace car, so it is all up to the GTPs to provide a small gap between themselves and that safety vehicle, so that way they can stand on the gas as soon as they dip into pit lane. And then, like we heard Ozzy say, the GTOs actually get the green flag at the same time, but they are leaving a little bit of space on the racetrack there. And here we go, Heitor Sintes Galindo stands on the gas. We've got a green flag for IMSA Vintage at Sebring International Raceway. A huge Holshan for the most part, side by side for second. And Aaron Humphrey had a huge wiggle in one. Let's check out the GTOs as they take the green.
An excellent clean start here from GTOs, going 3 wide into turn number 1. That's always going to be difficult because the track funnels, it narrows down, as you can see here, as they head back to the tarmac from the concrete main straight. But a great start from everybody, looking clean so far.
Those Audis can definitely go side by side a little bit easier than the GTPs on the cold tires, with all those aerodynamics really forcing the car down to the road. These Audis with the all-wheel drive, they rely on that mechanical grip, and you see Ian Haycock's already got company in his mirror. Andreas Schuster looks down the inside, but he's not quite close enough on the opening lap here to make a move down into the hairpin known as turn 7. As we jump back up with our GTP field, I can say that Sintes Galindo has run away. He's got about a 1 second gap out front, and the cars that we're looking at right here is Juan Jose Suarez. He's currently holding off Sam Dillingham in that white car, but he's got a lot of company. Brian Simpson, Keenan Laprieri is also involved in this 4-car train.
Yeah, a bit of dust there as cars run off track frequently in lap number 1. So what I think happened there in the first corner, we can look at it later too, but Parrish has taken a slow down penalty and has to cut the corner heading into the back straight, and that is very, very slow indeed. If you take a slow down penalty on lap number 1, it's very painful because you don't have no delta, but I think there's a larger issue here at play.
Yeah, I think maybe the Red Lobster car might have got its shell crushed somewhere along the line, because I see him all the way back into pit lane right now as AJ Roper looks to the outside. Let's see, does he fake down to the inside? No, he's just going to have to live with what he's got here in turn number 1. But I was going to make the comment, we kind of missed Aaron Humphrey, one of our front runners on the front row, get massively loose in turn 1, and he fell well down the order. He's all the way back to 7th place now. So right in front of AJ Roper. He's going to have his work cut out for him, as this is our GTO lead. And if you notice something different, Mickey Friesen, who we're riding on board with right here, he was your pole sitter, but he's already been overtaken by Arturas Kundelis in that bright green Audi. So the race is on for the lead here in GTO, and I'm seeing it's about 10 cars lined up nose to tail.
Yeah, and Kundelis has a very good pace here, good race pace. Fleesen, I'm looking at him and he's staying behind, sure, but he's not like all the time. It doesn't look like he can overtake whenever he wants, so maybe he's playing with the tires a little bit early on, trying to get them eased in, as we saw one Nissan there side of the road just barely blinking out of existence before the Audis come through. But yeah, you can see a replay here, and this I think is going to be what happened to Laperriere here on the previous lap. So that's going to be Keenan Laperriere, and coming through the hairpin here, just spinning out, and does hit the wall? Nope. But it's going to be difficult, quite awkward to reverse back from there. So Laperriere already getting the power down a little bit too quick. And that's what happens with these Nissans so easily, because you got a massive turbo. We talked about it and we will talk about it. Massive turbo, and there's a lot of turbo lag. That means when you put the power down, there's going to be like 1.5 seconds before you feel the power. So it's very difficult to get that power down in a controlled manner, especially so when the revs drop too low. And then you get the power surge that can easily spin the rear tires.
This is a problem with the number 39. I think that was a downshift gone wrong, which you can easily do here in these GTPs. Hopefully it gets reset and out of the way as the GTO field comes through. You saw that was on one of the opening laps there, and some of those GTO cars definitely had to go around, but thankfully he was able to hit that tow truck and get back into pit lane before causing any incidents on the racetrack. Now, this is our GTO front runners here. 5th place, Josh Brain, has actually fallen off the top 4 just a touch, so he's got the likes of Doug Cloud, Timothy Reed, and Romain Belo just right in his mirror as we work through the more technical area here. This is the 3-4-5 complex leading out onto the Big Bend straightaway, which does have a passing opportunity here at the end. Turn 7, known as the hairpin, but you got to be right up, tucked under that wing in order to make a deep, deep lunge on the brakes here. The number 13 actually runs a little bit wide, so he had a lock up there in the brake zone. That allows Doug Cloud just to kind of inch it ever so closer, and here comes an almost identical brake zone here into turn number 10. Looks like Josh got it right a little bit better that time, didn't have any lockup going in, and that of course makes the exit a whole lot better, and that's where you want to capitalize with these cars.
Yeah, and we got some Miami Vice Racing. Aaron Humphrey trying to get one of those positions back, and does a nice job around the outside in turn number 1. That would have been set up already in Sunset Bend. Humphrey started from front row, then had a little bit of a mishap in lap number 1 and has to now claw those positions back. Gotta be frustrating. Yeah, good battle here as well. Doug Cloud right in the middle of it with these heavy Audis. Long variety in the braking zones here. Gotta remind the audience about that. Long variety in the braking zones. These cars have to brake quite early, and they are manual transmission, meaning that you have to do all the work downshifting as well, heel and towing, and all that sort of thing. So you're gonna see more variety in how late people are going to be able to brake than with more modern racing cars.
And we missed it, but Doug Cloud right here actually just lost 2 positions on this previous lap since he just crossed start finish line. He got a little bit deep into the tower turn, and look at this lunge into turn 1. Can he get the thing slowed down at apex? Yes, he does leave room. That is the 19 of Velo on the outside, and now it is a drag race into the brake zone. Doug Cloud taking it really deep, and a little bit more of a hip check there. He gets 1 of the positions back, so stands on the gas. And what I have always been taught is that if you're going to get your elbows out, you better be faster, because you need to run away. They're going to do the same thing right on back to you if they get the opportunity.
Yeah, and here we have more action between the Nissans, Olmo, Lim, and Vico there in a nice battle, as we see absolutely nothing behind the fence. Brendan Lim there in the middle of it, trying to look to the inside, not quite able to do it, and look who's coming into the mix as well in the back of the pack.
Now, was that a little bit of a shot to everybody else, saying that the Finns are the best racing car drivers out there? I see what you're trying to sneak in on us here, Ozzy, and I gotta say, they always show up and they are always sneaky fast. But you're right, this is a battle here in GTP. Brendan Lim currently kind of the cork in the bottle. Vico trying to make his way by. A little bit of equal distant gaps between all 4 of these, but a little bit of a slip up right there. That's going to allow Aaron Humphrey to put the power down better than that number 3 car. Move Aaron Humphrey back up into 5th, and if memory serves me correct, that is the car that qualified on the front row. So yeah. I have a feeling that he's going to continue his charge.
Oh, absolutely. I've been in that position myself before, where I maybe don't have the best of first laps after doing okay-ish in the qualifying and then having to charge back through the field. So Humphrey is right now most likely doing some mental calculations. Where should I be? Where can I get to? Because that's important. You need to manage your risk levels. You can't allow that red mist to descend upon you too easily in the start. So Humphrey is right now in 5th place. He's 7.8 behind Sintes Galindo. He's 6.8 behind Grau. He's not going to catch up to those 2. We got half an hour left, and I can safely say he's not going to catch up to those 2. What he's looking for here is a podium. So his battle is right in front of his eyes. It's Olmo and it's Lim. And he has to get that pass down to Lim as quick as possible, I reckon. Because Olmo is threatening to run away there. And if Olmo runs away, it's going to be very difficult to catch him back up. There we go.
Yeah, Aaron Humphrey already, slicing and dicing his way the inside of turn number 1, just right underneath Brendan Lim. So I think more what's on the horizon here is one of the reasons why IMSA Vintage is so much fun, why we all love multi-class racing, is that all of a sudden we're going to have GTO cars really as the speed bumps to these GTPs, and they got to navigate them around them. Everybody's on the same playground. We're all playing on the same swings and the same slides, and you got to wait in line sometimes. You can't just go barging through the other class. Everybody is on the same racetrack together. And this is actually the closest it's been between our front 2. Heitor Sintes Galindo has been holding about a 1 to 2 second lead over Farron Grau, but maybe because of this little bit of traffic, Farron Grau has been able to close that gap. It was down to about a half a second, but you saw that massive amount of understeer through Tower Turn here for the number 12, and now it becomes just the dice roll. Where can you throw the car? And this might actually be a little bit of a slowdown for Grau.
It absolutely is going to be. You can't do that. And probably going to take it at the end of the straight, just lifting early into the final corner. That's the way I would do it. Just, here we go. Serving the slowdown here and just trying to lose as little time as possible, saving a bit of fuel potentially at the same time. 2 interesting battles here, by the way. Freckleton here, looking for a move.
Dylan Freckleton trying to get around AJ Roper, but AJ just sends it down into Sunset. Look at those cars bounce up and over. Respect the bumps here at Sebring. But Freckleton right in the draft here. He's going to poke to the nose, the left-hand side, which is the inside of turn number 1. But AJ Roper, once again with the commitment on entry, puts all of that dirty air in front of Dylan Freckleton. And Freckleton thankfully lifts off of the gas before he reached the tire wall way out there in the grass. Going to have to come up with a new way around, maybe use some of these Audi GTOs as a little bit of a pick, because the racetrack definitely starting to get busy.
It absolutely is. And the thing with the Audi is that it's a fast car. It accelerates very quickly because it's 4-wheel drive. That's what you got to remember. The Audis are 4-wheel drive. They too have a big turbo. There's a lot of power under that hood, way over 600 brake horsepower. Once you put that down at the exit of a slow corner, let's say hairpin here at Sebring, the Nissan is actually a little bit slower of the very initial phase of the corner exit in slow corners. And then it starts to sort of catch up on the straight line, but where you really want to pass them is in the braking. The Nissan can brake so quickly that you can essentially pass the Audi on the braking and then get the racing line as you turn into the corner. So that's where you want to do it. Another thing with the Audi is they are lifting in some of the corners due to the lack of downforce, due to its brick-like nature, in that it doesn't want to turn, it understeers a lot. It has to lift in some of the corners which for the Nissans are flat out. For example, that section after the tower corner, when you have those couple of left-handers heading into the final SS, that's where the Nissans occasionally have to do a little bit of a lift, and that can come as a surprise for you. Suddenly seeing brake lights, or not even seeing brake lights as the guy in front of you lifting, then you're catching up at an X rate of knots, and then it suddenly becomes a Y rate of knots, and you're not expecting it. And they have to use all of the racetrack, so you don't want to take it from the outside. So if you're a Nissan driver, where I'm getting to it here, I'm rambling all over the place, but bear with me. So if you're a Nissan driver, what you want to do is either pass an Audi on the braking or on the inside at the corner exit. Don't go around the outside of an Audi at the corner exit. They have to use all of the racetrack.
Oh, and Taylor Burris has a
there.
huge lockup right there. You saw one of the GTP cars trying to make their way around and just, it can get really, really busy. And actually the GTP car is off right in front of Taylor now. He has to lift again to avoid understeering off the racetrack in Big Bend. It looks like we're gonna actually get GSRC replay queued up right here. Let's see what happened to Byron Long in the number 28 GTP. This has got down the back straightaway heading into Sunset Bend. Oh, just way too deep. It looks like he might have missed a brake marker. You see how far drivers left he already is on the racetrack. And once you get out into the gray area, you deal with all the marbles and actually the bumps get even bigger. There's that tire barrier. Unfortunately, a very heavy impact for that number 28. And with the new damage model, it's pretty fun to watch, isn't it, Ozzy?
Well, depends who you are. If I'm the mechanic on that team, then it's not very fun, but that was very close to a secondary impact as well. That happens so easily at the speeds. The Nissan, when you drive it, in a lot of the ways, it feels very modern in fast corners. Sure, the body bounces around a little bit more. It feels a little bit softer than most normal race cars, but you run very tight springs here, and it has a lot of downforce, so it feels very good to drive this car around in fast corners, but then you start to remember its age when you come through the slower corners, and especially in throttle application. And another example we're going to get to after this GSRC replay, we're watching Nick Schlesinger coming into the hairpin, and just Nissan making a mistake right in front of him. And yeah, you can't slow that car, you can't slow the Audi down on a dime. So essentially you're a passenger if there's something unexpected happening in front of you.
So we're watching images on the screen of our GTO lead battle, and look at the GTP field just stream their way through. This is the best battle we've got on the racetrack. The front three in the Audis have been separated. This is actually the biggest gap between first and second we've seen all race long, and we're talking about what, maybe 10 car lengths here between the front two, and you actually see the fourth car in line. That's Ian Haycock's there in that green and orange vehicle. So really not just the front three, the front four in this GTO class have been nose to tail pretty much the entire 15 minutes that we've been racing. I do feel that Mickey Friesen, this purple car, second in line, the number 8, I feel like he's got a little bit more top-end speed than Arturas Kundelis, who's leading the group. It's just a matter of if the Allman Straight is long enough that he can take advantage of that top-end speed difference and make a move down into Sunset Bend, because with all the traffic that's going on the racetrack, I would actually prefer a little bit of a higher downforce setup, because it allows me the comfort, the ability to place the car wherever I need to. However, you do have to be careful about those other cars with higher top speed down the straightaways.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's the dilemma here at Sebring, innit? Because you would want to run higher downforce. You got so many fast corners in here, and running a high downforce, medium high downforce setup to the first corner, it's an absolute bliss. Same to the Cunningham, and you feel that confidence as you run through those fast corners. At the same time, you have to qualify on pole if you run a high downforce setup. And not only that, but you also have to get you have to get away on the first lap in order to avoid the pack of cars with low downforce running past you, laughing on the way when you come to the back straight. So really, it's about the compromise usually here. I used to prefer a higher downforce setup around here than most, and had difficulty overtaking as a result, both in the IMSA Vintage as well as Moto 79, and we got a lead battle.
Oh, and Schuster tried to steal second away there. These front three are just so evenly matched. I think that they do have just a touch more pace than our fourth place car, but yeah, if they're arguing, I mean, it's going to bring Ian right into the battle, and as long as the racecraft is there, that is all that matters once you actually get into the battle. But this is through the back section of the racetrack here. basically through 15 and 16 as they kind of make their way through these flat curbs and then around the right-hander. I feel like this is actually the trickiest turn on the racetrack, turn 16, because it's slightly off camber from apex off. It's slightly over crest at the apex, and in real life, there is just no grip whatsoever. The track's not helping you at all. There's so much sand everywhere in Florida. And honestly, here in iRacing, they model it quite well. It's always a struggle to put the power down onto the most important straightaway.
Yeah, it is. It's the most important corner to get right, and you have to, with a lot of these cars, you have to also sort of take a compromise to the previous SS in order to not overcommit. And the exit curb is kind of difficult to get right as well, because you want to ride the exit curb. You want to ride all of that exit curb. But it's sort of, you run it a little bit too slow at first. You're afraid of the understeer and messing up your exit completely. And then you sort of try to work your way up and up and up. And Schuster here trying to work his way around the outside. Doing the right thing here, actually, looking for an exit out of the hairpin. You can see how aggressively Friesen has to defend there. Well, not quite aggressively, but holding the inside line. And what that allows Schuster to do is basically fake a move to the inside, force the guy in front to defend, and then go for that over-under at the exit. So at the exit, just get a better exit, either tuck down the inside at the exit of the corner or just get a good run onto the next straight, because let's remember that run down to Cunningham is anything but simple with these Audis, so it's a bit more of an overtaking position than it would be in most other cars. And here you go, a bit of mistake at Friesen, again missing the apex here at power, so maybe starting to save some cracks in the arm.
I will say, though, tip of the cap to Mickey Friesen when that GTP car, I should say train, really rolled through at that 3-4-5 complex. He thought better and actually lifted off, tucked back in line, so it didn't cost him any more time. You see how much time it's cost him to our leader, up to 1 second now, as the Red Lobster machine goes flying by, fresh out of the boiler there. Go ahead, Ozzy.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Friesen, and look at the way he's turning into the corners. That's heading to the back straight. That was the third apex this lap he's missing, and that's 3 more apexes than you usually miss in a normal racing lap, unless your name is Joe Atterbury. Anyway, I'm sorry, buddy, but I think his tires are starting to feel the heat, especially the front tires. He's having to brake earlier as a result of that. I'll have to watch him as he comes to the hairpin, and as he comes here, does he have to start braking a little bit earlier, and does that in turn allow Schuster here, who we are running on board with, an opportunity on the braking to pass Friesen, or at least put even more pressure under him?
I've learned so much about you this broadcast, Ozzy. I thought you were the cool, calm, collected racing car driver, but it sounds like you're a little bit more of the aggressive type. You love to go by the other cars on the low downforce package in the corners, just laughing at them on the opening lap. There's lots that I'm learning about you. Watching Dylan Freckleton now, nothing has changed here. He's been just chasing AJ Roper in this orange GTP for a handful of laps now. He hasn't been able to figure out a way to get around AJ, and usually that tells me two identically paced drivers in two pretty much identically set up vehicles. Sometimes it's just going to come down to forcing a mistake. You see him look to the inside, but there's just not a big enough brake zone, especially in the GTPs into turn number 1. I think that's more just trying to get in the head of the competitor in front of you, making him look into the mirror instead of looking at the brake zone or looking at his turn-in point, his apex. He's just trying to do something different because his outright pace isn't quite there in order to make him get up far enough alongside to make the lunge. And here again in turn 7 in the hairpin, he's going to actually send it way deep. Does he lock up? No, he keeps that white, teal and pink TVR machine tucked down to the inside. Dylan Freckleton finally gets that pass done up into 6th place.
TVR, which was, I think that's the reference here, a sports car manufacturer out of Blackpool, England.
Correct.
Seeing very, very bright livery there, obviously with the Miami Vice reference, because hey, might as well go for the most obvious 80s reference you can find. But honestly, I think I like it. I like this car, and I like what Dylan's doing with it, and I like how Dylan's driving it as well. So you look for an opportunity, you try to find the weakness of your opposition, and then you attack that weakness decisively and quickly. Because if you go for an aggressive move, you want to commit to the aggressive move. The worst thing you can do is go for an aggressive move in a passive fashion. So you sort of go for the late brake, but then you start to second guess yourself and sort of hang around the rear quarter panel of the car in front of you, who in turn is guessing, are you there, are you not there, what's going to happen, and then you're going to have a clumsy spin on the entry of the corner. No, if you do it, you do it. You just essentially pull your panties up and get your helmet on, and you go for the move.
And it was really busy still with Freckleton and Roper as we're watching Timothy Reed here chasing down Josh Brain. So Timothy Reed took advantage of, I believe it was a mistake from Doug Cloud about 10-15 minutes ago, and that vaulted him up here into the 6th place position. And then Josh in the red and yellow Momo machine has really been doing a terrific job not to make any mistakes there in the 5th place position, because Tim has just been putting all sorts of pressure on him, and he hasn't cracked at all. And this is around that tricky turn 16. Oh, really jumping that apex curve. You might be able to get away with it here in these Audis a little bit with the all-wheel drive, but the number 7 using the slipstream, that big box-like Audi punches a big hole, but Timothy Reed gonna go defensive, or I'm sorry, he's gonna try along the outside of Sunset Bend here as Josh Brain is able to defend on the inside. And oh no, I've been hearing in my ear here that we had a crash out of AJ Roper. Remember, we were just covering him in the GTPs as Timothy Reed looks down to the inside, makes a huge lunge into turn number 1, secures that 5th place position, and immediately moves over to the left side of the racetrack, is able to defend the brake zone here into turn number 3. So it looks like after about 10 minutes of chasing the number 13, Reed moves up into that 5th place.
I'm not sure. Look at the exit off here from Brain. I think he was able to get quite a good exit, and he's looking to the hairpin. Reed has to defend the inside, and here we have a chance for an over-under if Brain is clever about it. If he is like his name says he is. No, he was hanging around the outside a little bit too long, wasn't quite able to capitalize on the exit, and well done on the defense by Tim Reed. Now we have a chance to see if he is truly faster. And now we're gonna see what happened here earlier on. We heard about Roper crashing from 7th place. AJ Roper, the Canadian driver, coming here to Cunningham Corner, has some traffic in front of him, and then is he gonna put it to the inside down tower? Yeah, and that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. So the Audis, he was expecting the Audi to stay to the left-hand side of the track, stay to the inside, but the Audi is understeering so much that the Audi, well, they can't just stop. So he was going for a move around the outside, not expecting the understeer, and 2 cars went for the same line at the same time, not quite having enough time to react, and just a clumsy incident there, really. But that's a learning experience. I would put it down as a learning experience. Oh, wow. Josh Brain with a big power slide into the back straight.
That was exactly what we saw that last lap, too. Remember, he jumped way over the apex curb there in 16, and it kind of cost him on the exit, and that's why he had to give up that position. So it's going to be the replay of Vico here. This is coming out of that same Le Mans corner. Oh, just misjudged the pass with the GTO car. I didn't grab which number that was, but that just purely looked like a misjudgment. The GTP got on the gas, maybe was expecting the GTO to squirt out of the corner a little bit quicker and was not able to get to driver's right. And a little bit unfortunate to see there, just the 2 cars really not battling amongst each other, being taken out as we check back in on our 7th place battle. This is Roman Bilo chasing Doug Cloud between these 2 Audis here, and I gotta say, I like this. It's a Turner Motorsports livery out of Bilo here, and you know, that takes me back to the series that I raced, and I raced against the Turner cars for a long time, so this is kind of fun to see. And actually, Doug Cloud got a huge little mishap there with the GTP car, so here comes the number 19. He's going to be all over the back here going into what is turn number 10. Doug Cloud moves to the inside, so Bilo's going to have to think of a new way around.
Yeah, and two very nice looking race cars as we were going to achieve. So, whoa, that was close by the Nissan. At the last moment, realizing, yeah, not going around the outside tear, that's gonna understeer, taking to the inside instead. Nice reflexes by the GDP driver there. Juan Jose Suarez, what have you done? Looking good so far. Oh, just the Audi getting a little bit loose on the exit of the corner. I think hitting the curb at a little bit of an awkward angle, just turning straight right essentially, and nothing Sanchez could do, Suarez can do, I'm afraid. And that's gonna be all said and done. So starting to see more mistakes here. Tires starting to wear, drivers are starting to wear out, getting a little bit of fatigue in maybe. 12 minutes still to go. And we had some drivers already falling victim to this Sebring track here in multiclass. And here Nate Croker is next on the replay and going to the inside. And once again, expecting room to beat her, expecting that Audi to go more to the left, and the Audi just doesn't turn on a dime.
You know, you need cooperation out there, and not everybody is able to see out of all sides of their vehicle at all times. And sometimes a GTP car thinks an Audi is going to give room on the inside, and sometimes that Audi driver thinks, oh, well, hey, the GTP car's got the downforce to go around me on the outside. So sometimes there is miscommunication out there, and sometimes it just kind of happens in multi-class racing. But what is happening out front is this man in the number 6 car, Heitor Sintes Galindo. Ever since he fought off that little mini challenge from Farron Grau very early in the race, he's stretched out to about 3.5, 4 seconds, and he's just maintained that gap. He's done a very good job of navigating through the GTO traffic without picking any battles, without, getting into any scrums. He's kept the car very, very clean, and he's pretty much been rewarded for it. Here he's got a windshield of completely clean Sebring International Raceway. He looks down, sees about 10 minutes left, only about a quarter of the race remaining. I think that Heitor is pretty much going to be on cruise control from here on out. You just want damage limitation. Don't put the car in any dangerous areas. If you see a kind of a sketchy GTO, give them a very, very wide berth like what we just saw coming out of Sunset Bend.
And that's the thing. Look at this. This is one explanation of why we're seeing so many incidents between the Nissans and the Audis here. It's start of a brand new season, so we see new drivers here at the IMSA Vintage series deciding that, okay, they're gonna spend this summer doing IMSA Vintage. Fantastic. Go ahead, do it. It's a brilliant series. And as you can see here, Tim Reed having yet another fighter trying to defend that 5th place from Josh Brain and able to pull it off quite nicely. But yeah, if you're new to the Nissan, as you saw just there earlier on as we were on board Sintes Galindo, the steering wheel, first of all, it's on the right side. You expect the steering wheel to be on the left side if you're anywhere but from anywhere but England or Japan, pretty much. But here it's on the right side of the car. That's one thing. The other thing is that the Nissan is deceivingly wide because it feels like a lighter car, and it is in a sense a light car, but it is about 7 meters wide. That might be a slight exaggeration, but it is a wide car. It is a bulky boy in that sense. And when you got the steering wheel on the wrong side, so to speak, on a different side than you're used to, and you got a car that is wider than you're used to, well, trying to find out where that car ends is a bit more difficult. And when you combine that with the fact that the Audis are behaving a lot differently than you're used to from slower class cars, they have to brake earlier, and they too are quite big cars and they understeer a lot, then it's a lot of learning experiences, and those just combine sometimes to incidents that are going to happen like we see here today. But they usually get cleaner over the course of the season, and after 1 or 2 silly incidents with the Audis, don't worry, the Audi drivers are gonna remind you to keep your nose a little bit more clean next time.
Watching our GTO lead up front, and why this has intrigued me is that our 2nd and 3rd place car of Mickey Friesen as well as Andreas Schuster, who we're riding on board with right now, they were outside of draft range from Arturus Kundelis. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, but these Audis punch such a big hole in the air that when you are in draft range, it really pulls that car up along to your rear spoiler. So the fact that these two were able to kind of crawl back a little bit of that track position and are now within a half second of our leader, it really is going to be up to the racecraft of the number 8. Can he keep his driving lines clean enough? We were hearing Ozzy talk about him earlier, how there was a lot of missed apexes going on from that purple and white number 8. Can he put it together here in the final 7 minutes to crawl back in this last half a second gap and potentially steal away the win from Arturas Kundelis? Because we got to remember, this purple car was our pole sitter. It was the fastest car by half a second in qualifying. Where has it gone in the race? Can it show up at the end when he needs it?
Exactly, and you saw there a little bit of a lock-up heading to the hairpin, but the car is behaving much better now under a lighter fuel load. Friesen has done a great job of adjusting to his car, which is really, I think you'll agree with me on this one, Joey. One of the most important traits for a race car driver is the ability to adapt. Adaptability. That is really the crucial thing, because races are not run on paper. You can be the fastest in qualifying, but seldom does everything go according to the plan.
I agree. You have to adapt, and then the other important part, especially with these open setup series, is that you can go out there and work on your qualifying setup, but the car has to be fast at the end of the race to collect the checkered flag. Here we are on the Ullman Straight, and this is actually the best run that Mickey Friesen has had. Our leader goes defensive into turn 17, so I don't think the Audi is quite capable of really sticking the nose around the outside of Sunset Bend. It's going to be more about capitalizing on a potential over-under. So a very, very smart driver up there driving that green number 1 car, and there might actually be a GTP car slipping through in the middle of this battle. What does he do? He disappears right at apex as he blinks out. Thankfully, he clears all 3 of them using that downforce, so doesn't interrupt. But Ozzy, look at the time. 5 minutes remaining. That's about 2.5 laps for these GTO cars.
Yep, that's less than 2 rounds of boxing here for these guys, and I tell you, it's gonna be boxing because these cars have bumpers for a reason. I don't think anyone is going to be dirty, but certainly there are places here in Sebring where you can lean a little bit and you can put your elbows out a little bit. And look at here, very opportunistic from Schuster, and he's gonna pull it off, I think. Just absolutely catching Friesen with pants down. Friesen was looking for an overtake, not able to pull it off, not looking at his mirrors, and Andreas Schuster says, thank you very much, I'm gonna have that 2nd place, and now I'm gonna be the one going after Kundelis. He's smelling victory.
A really good move from the driver of that red, white, and blue number 4 car. You're right, Mickey just got out a little bit wide in the hairpin, and Andreas Schuster said, you know what, that's enough of an opening for me. I'll go ahead, take that 2nd place position, and what was potentially the fastest car, but has really just held his cards in his pocket the entire time in the draft behind 2nd place. I wonder if Andreas Schuster is actually the car that's going to go up and kind of play spoiler up here and steal away a victory from the driver that's run the most consistent race in the GTOs, and that is our leader, Kundelis. He hasn't put a foot wrong really all day. I feel like maybe Mickey's got a little bit of a faster car and he's able to capitalize in some certain areas and on a clean lap, but when I look at the whole picture of the race, I definitely look at that green number 1 car, but can that number 4 play spoiler here as they come across the line? About 4 minutes remaining. I think that they should have 2 more full laps depending on where the GTPs actually take the checkered flag.
Yeah, Roman Bello looking to the inside there, trying for an overtake, not quite able to pull it off. So yeah, you know who's really peeved off right now, I'm sorry. That's gonna be the guy who is now relegated to 3rd place, Mickey Friesen, in that GDO battle. He was looking for that lead, fastest car, finally catching up to Kundelis, just trying to work Kundelis, minding his own business, and along comes some guy named Schuster from out of nowhere and just takes his position like that, and that's gonna be so frustrating. But at the same time, he knows that he cannot spend too much time attacking Schuster because then they're gonna lose the win, Kundelis. So he's gonna sort of figure out now, okay, where is Schuster going to attack? What is he going to do about Kundelis? And in turn, how can Mickey Friesen turn that last step on the podium into top step of the podium?
I think the comeback drive of the race goes to this man right here.
Oh,
Remember,
yeah.
Aaron Humphrey had, he had that huge wiggle in turn 1, lost a ton of track position, has had to pass all the cars the hard way, and with about 2.5 minutes remaining, he's got 2 full laps to go up there and try to pass our second place car, Farron Grau. And Farron's had a little bit of a lonely race, other than almost catching the leader early on. He's just been turning laps by himself, so he better be careful of what he sees in his mirror. Aaron Humphrey, that last time around, a 44.9. Compare that to Farron Grau, a 46.4. I think that Grau had to deal with a little bit of lap traffic, but if that repeats, I don't see why Aaron Humphrey wouldn't overtake for second place here in a matter of a few corners.
Yeah, and actually we got to keep in mind Humphrey is the fastest car on the racetrack at the moment, and he has the fastest lap of the race as well. He's been faster than our leader, Sintes Galindo, in this race over the course of a single lap. Now, of course, he's lost quite a bit of time overtaking, dealing with those cars, but it's an excellent recovery drive from Humphrey so far. And we are starting to the last lap, and so if Humphrey wants to do it, he has to do it over the course of next, 6 kilometers.
The opening round of the IMSA Vintage Series sees Barney wave the white flag. Your pole sitter in the number 6 only has to make his way around Sebring, 3.74 miles. Another time around and he will collect that checkered flag. It sounds a lot easier than what it really is. And our second and third place battle are just diving into turn number 1 right now. I'm checking to see where the GTOs are on the racetrack, and I believe that they are going to have a whole nother lap and a half from where they are. I don't think that Galindo is actually going to be able to catch our GTO leader, so this is going to work out for everybody watching. Maximum amount of race coverage, as Aitor is pretty much just going to put it on cruise control here the last half a lap, and hopefully, maybe, actually, you know what? It already took place. I missed it somewhere, Ozzy. Aaron Humphrey already up into second.
Yeah, I think everybody missed it. Humphrey up in the second. We look at it after the race, I think, where exactly the pass happened. It would have been up into the hairpin, I think, or even in the first sector. And you can see Sintes Galindo just excellently, just beautiful. The way he is working the traffic is absolutely beautiful. Inside to the other, around the outside to another, just zigzagging his way, weaving his way between the Audis, and making it look consistent and easy and not risky at all. That's the most important thing. He's picking his spots just right, not you know, doing it the hard way, doing it the easy way, and making it easy for everybody concerned. And this is gonna once again look like an easy victory for him. I assure anything but.
He rounds Sunset Bend, sees the checkered flag, flashes the lights, and we've got our round 1 winner. That is Aitor Sintes Galindo. Makes it look easy out there at Sebring International Raceway. Dylan Freckleton almost trying to get through there. He's trying to overtake 5th on Brendan Lim. As we watch the rest of our podium finishers streak across the line, it was Aaron Humphrey second, Farron Grau in that 3rd place. Our GTO battle has kind of fizzled out just a little bit. Cundalis is about half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second ahead of Andreas Schuster. Ozzy, it seems like he's saved his best performance for the final couple laps.
Yeah, and they might have been hit by some traffic as well. I'm looking at the gap between Schuster and Friesen, and that 1 second doesn't quite seem normal. Maybe some frustration, maybe just, you know, overcommitment, maybe some traffic not quite playing into his hand. Whatever the case, Arturas Kondelis, he's number 1 for a reason in this series. He's been running it for quite a while, and he's just very, very, very fast. And most importantly, he's smooth. He kind of reminds me of Gernot Fritsche in the Lotus 79s, where he may not always be the out-and-out fastest car in the qualifying, but he just knows how to get the job done. And here he did get the job done, withstood some amazing pressure from Friesen to Schuster, ran away from Haycox and Reed and the rest, and just fantastic drive from him.
Just got to navigate around the bumpy turn 17, a single final time here. Cundalis, who put together the entire race, a fast car, a fast driver, and most of all, smart decisions. That brings home the win in GTO. Cundalis stands on top of the rest. Well, You see the drifting already going on with the GTOs here in turn number 1. Having fun with the all-wheel drive, but we've got our official results coming up on screen. It's going to be the GTP class winner, Aitor Sintes Galindo. He is your winner from pole. Aaron Humphrey with a terrific comeback drive. Kind of a story of what if for him in the race. Farron Grau finishing in third with Javier Del Olmo in fourth. Brendan Lim with a top 5 finish. Dylan Freckleton hot on his heels, though, to finish in 6th. AJ Roper in 7th. Sam Dillingham in 8th. Lance Simon 9th. Mateo Johnson here in 10th. JP Ramos is in 11th in the GTPs. Then brings up Marcelo Marquez, Keenan Lapierre, and then unfortunately the rest of these GTP names did not finish today's race, and that takes us over to the GTO results, Ozzy.
Yes, it absolutely does, and it was the Lithuanian once again who was the fastest. Arturas Kundelis rounding out your GDO field. Andrea Schuster in 2nd place, Mickey Friesen in 3rd. Great battle between those 3, and Ian Haycox in 4th place. The rest of them gonna be classified as 1 lap down, but they weren't that far behind. Timothy Reed in 5th, Josh Brain 6th, Doug Cloud 7th. Roman Bello 8th, Cam Porter 9th, and Sam Skovgaard in 10th position. And then we got another page of results. Torben Paulik 11th, Cody Meadows in 12th, Michael Haynes 13th, Taylor Burris 14th, Nick Schlesinger in 15th, Stephen Dysek in 16th, all of them classified as 1 lap down. Then Mika Tuupala 17th, 3 laps down, and your list of retirements, just 2 cars, Logan Warfield and Timothy S. Porter.
What an opening round here of the IMSA Vintage Series. Unfortunately, we're going to have to run off and broadcast another race real quick. Thanks to the team today. That includes Ozzy, Daniel, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race for the IMSA Vintage Series is at Misano. I'm sorry, it's going to be next week. I believe that is June 22nd, same time at 1 p.m. Eastern at Alton Park there. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. And if you're up for a little bit of a different flavor, go check out the Genesis Extreme YouTube channel. They're going to be broadcasting the Trans Am series on the RF2 simulator platform from Lime Rock Park here in just a few minutes. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
Wow.